Welcome to the Soul Calling Success Live Summit, where our mission is to guide you to follow your soul calling and create success on your own terms so your business can empower your dream life with greater freedom, fulfillment, and fun. Your host for this session is Melissa Schutten. Melissa is a holistic life coach, yoga teacher, healer, and an empowerment coach for Transformation Terra. Take it away, Melissa.
Thank you. Hi, everybody. Welcome so much, or welcome everybody to this first session of track 2 of this Soul Calling Success Summit. We're so excited to have you here, and I'm very happy to introduce you to Lisa Taylor. She's going to talk to us today about how this choice matters. One choice can change our life. Welcome, Lisa. How are you today?
I'm doing really well. Thank you so much for having me on this summit. I'm so grateful to be here. And I am so passionate about this topic that one choice can change our life. In fact, in the next half hour, the choice that you all make from listening to this talk could change your life. So just be open to the idea that when you hear the ideas that are shared today, you actually could adopt a new way of being that could change your life. I've been doing this practice since about 7th grade, actually before that, but daily practice since about 7th grade. And one of the things that is, to me, just the foundation, and I know a lot of people in this audience are probably in alignment with this, but the very foundation of our being, of our day, is a daily spiritual practice. And whatever that is for you, whether it is a God-centered one or something that's more holistic around other modalities, it doesn't really matter what modality you choose, as long as you make the choice to have a daily spiritual practice where you are grounding yourself in that identity that is truly your being, that is based in spirit, not based in the evidence that we see around us. There's something that happened to me very early in my life when I was in college and I really wanted to go into radio and do the radio station locally. And I didn't because I was afraid. And I left college having not done something that I really wanted to do. It was like it was part of who I was and what I was being called to do. And I shied away from it because I was afraid, because I was too embarrassed, or I didn't know myself well enough, or whatever it was. And I vowed to myself when I left that I would never let fear drive me. I would never let fear push me to the point where I was not following what that still small voice was calling to inside. And I got out of college, into my first job. I'm working as a secretary, which wasn't really aligned so much. It was not really utilizing all of my talents. And I ended up really struggling. I did have a daily practice at the time. And my daily practice was something where I aligned myself with who I knew to be, who I knew I was. I looked to the divine. I talk in terms of God. You may not talk in terms of that, but whatever that is for you, that power that is higher than you. And I looked up to that power. And I said, okay, this is who I am. And I aligned my identity with that, with God. And so I knew that the job that I was in wasn't really aligning with who I was. And I knew there was more for me. And some of you may be feeling that today. There's more to life. There are 90% of the people that reach the end of their life, look back at their life and regret the choices that they made because they didn't fulfill their calling. They didn't fulfill that thing that was inside of them. 90% of the people look back and regret. We want to be part of the 10% that doesn't look back and regret, that doesn't look back and at the end of life meet the person we could have been. We want to be the person that feels confident and sure that we did everything that was in alignment with who we are. So that particular day when I was working as a secretary and was really depressed, I went out at lunch, kind of in tears, actually, and went and sat by this fountain and was just like looking up and saying, okay, there's got to be more to my life than this. There has got to be more than this. Please use me. I will do whatever you say. And I was really in tune with listening to that intuition. And I actually heard a voice. The voice said, you'll be in Boston for a while. I thought, what's that? That's not a job. That's not like, what am I supposed to do? That doesn't tell me anything. What is that? That's not an answer. And then I thought, no, I said I would trust the answer. That's my answer, whether I understand it or not. Doesn't make, I mean, the obvious, be in Boston, because I was living in Boston. I got up from where I was and I like, look up, align, look in. Does it align with my intuition? Look out, take a step forward. So I got up from where I was. I actually walked across this plaza about 20 paces. And the guy who had originally hired me as a secretary, who'd gone on to other things, comes out from this building. He goes, "Where are you these days, Lisa?" I said, "Funny you should ask, John. I just got a really clear sense I'm going to be in Boston for a while." He said, "I am so glad to hear you say that. Come upstairs. I want to offer you a job." It's like that. I followed the intuition. I looked up, I looked in, I looked out. I followed the intuition. And 20 steps later, I got a job. And that started a whole career in broadcasting. Was a news anchor and producer for radio and TV and went on for many years. And was absolutely utilized, felt completely fulfilled, was challenged, wasn't easy all the time. And I think I got laid off like 5 different times during that period. But every time I would do the same process. I would look up and I would say, okay, I know there's a power higher than me that I am aligned with, that I am at one with, that I am the reflection of. Then I would look in and identify myself clearly and see, are things lining up with me and what my sense is of things? And then I would look out, and then I would act, and then I would follow the intuition. And every single time I would do this 3-step simple process: look up, look in, look out. My life would be in alignment with my soul calling. It would be in alignment with me as the expression of soul, which is another word for God, which is another word for the divine, which is another word for the all power, the creator that we are all created by, that we are all the reflection of, that we are all, our identity comes from the same source material. No matter what you call it, it's the same source material. So as the reflection of that, I know what's aligned with me. I am the individual expression, and I know when I'm tuned into the divine all power, I know what lines up with that, and then I can be the expression of that. So that's that simple choice. If you choose to listen to the intuition, tune into the divine all power, tune into your own identity, your own individual identity as a reflection of that power, and listen to that still small voice, and then go out and act, your whole life will be governed and will come into alignment with the absolute best that is possible for you. That's kind of the beginning of where I started, and my whole life has been that. And I have so many stories. Melissa, I have so many stories about where following this path has led me to a much better experience than I would have ever had I done it just on my own, or had I tried to figure it out humanly. And there are many times, I have a couple of stories where I did try to figure it out humanly. That didn't go so well. And then eventually, we're brought to our knees finally, and we give up and we cry uncle. And then I turn it over. And then I look up, look in, look out, and then it all works out perfectly. So I have a couple of stories like that too. But I will stop talking for just a moment and let you get a word in edgewise.
That was such an amazing story. And I love how, it's like you said, it's a simple process, 3 steps: look up, look in, look out. And it's such a great way to remind yourself to connect with that higher power, whatever it is, bring it within, and then take action. I love that. So simple. And you're such a great speaker. I could listen to your stories for a long time, but unfortunately, we don't have that much time together. So I would like to ask, how do you serve others now with what you know and with your simple process?
That's a great question. One of the things that I do is I do promote the idea, like I mentioned before, of a daily practice. So when I got to a point in my life, I've been doing it, I don't know, 50 years probably, and I'm well preserved. So I look a lot younger than I am. Well, let's hope I do.
You look
I've been doing it about 50 years, and I got to a point where I thought I really want to go deeper on my daily practice. And the thought came to me again, look up, look in, look out. The thought came to me, well, one way that you'll do it, that you'll show up, is if you do it for others. Because I'd shown up for myself my whole life. I mean, I can count on one hand probably the days that I didn't do my daily practice, which of course has kind of morphed and changed over the years and adjusted to be more fulfilling and useful for me. But there's something about being in service to other that is prompting of discipline and prompting of a more consistent effort. And when I decided I'm going to offer this to others, that's when I started to go a lot deeper and be consistent. So I've been doing this daily show since 2020. And I've done a lot of YouTube videos and different things and sort of putting it out into public, but being consistent Monday through Friday, every day, showing up live and just really tuning it like I am in the work of it every day. I do my preparation. I do my daily, which I go out into nature. There are different elements that are very important to me, and I'll just share what's important to me and you can adopt whatever. I spend time in nature. I spend time in silence. I move my body. So whatever that looks like for me at this point, it's running, because I love to run and kind of burn off some of that energy, because I have a lot of that energy. So I'll burn off some of it. I read spiritual text. I read the Bible. I read this textbook that I've studied all my life, which is Divine Law, which is called Science and Health with Key to the Scriptures. And so that is my practice during the morning. And then I show up for the show, and I truly, I'll take little notes, I'll listen to things. I truly show up and say, okay, God, what do you want me to say today? Who would you have me be? What would you have me know? What would you have me see? What would you have me do? Where would you have me go? What would you have me say, and to whom? And I sit there and I just let it flow. And for a half an hour, I just bring it. I don't, God does. It's like I get out of the way. It's so not coming from me. It's like I am so there to I'm so honored to be in a position where I seem to have an ability to just speak. So, okay, so use my mouth and let it bless those who show up. So there's a membership of people that show up for this live show every day. And then I also serve clients one-on-one. I have some private clients, and I also have a group program that is the community, the This Choice Matters community, where people understand these divine laws and love living by these laws and want to go a little bit deeper and study them a little bit further and just practice. What does it look like when you have a challenge in your life and the evidence is telling you one thing, the material evidence, the 5 physical senses is telling you one thing, and because you know spiritual law, that there is no matter. I mean, even quantum physics is agreeing with us now. There is no matter. It is all consciousness. It is mind reflected. But are you dealing with mortal mind, like the human constraint of little mind, little ego mind, or are you dealing with divine mind, God, the one mind? And depending on which one you align with, your experience is going to look exactly like what you hold as true in thought. So there's this one phrase, this guy, Jack Hubble, who was a teacher of this divine law, he said, human consciousness equals human experience. Well, if that's true, and it is, quantum physics has now demonstrated that as well. So we get confirmation from the lesser sciences as well. But this divine science has been operating since before time began. It is the law of good. It is the law of love. It is the law of all good that is in operation. And if we align with that and identify with that, our experience reflects that. If we align with a house divided, if we align with fear, if we align with limitation, then our experience is going to reflect that. So we get to choose which premise of life are we going to base our experience on. Am I going to base my life on divine law, where it's all good, and I can see that in my experience as I align myself and my identity with that, because I really am the reflection of that? But if I'm conscious of that, then my whole life is going to reflect that. Or am I going to align with fear is the basis of my being, limitation is the basis of my being. It's all what I grab for, what I hustle for, what I try to earn and deserve, rather than it's been given to you. This is the basis of your being. You have inherited the mansion. You have been placed on the throne. The crown has already been put on your head. The scepter's in your hand. You can stand with authority, and you can say to all the evidence, that's illusion. I'm not buying into that. I'm not taking that on as the reality. I am leaning on that sustaining. There's a quote, to those leaning on the sustaining infinite, today is big with blessings. That's actually the first sentence from this book that I mentioned before, Science and Health, which is this spiritual law textbook that I've studied my whole life. So to answer your question in a long form, what I do is I show up every day. I do the half hour of inspiration. It's a show called Morning Metaphys. And I also have clients in this group program, this Choice Matters community. And then I also have private clients who, if somebody's just struggling with a challenge, I'm a spiritual practitioner in that they can call and I can give them spiritual treatment, and they can get past that false sense of themselves and get back realigned with the true sense of who they are, and then experience that, because human consciousness equals human experience. So if your human consciousness is aligned with the divine as the reflection of the divine, your experience is going to reflect that. And it's pretty awesome. Like I grew up in a house where my dad's dad was a surgeon. My mom's mom was a spiritual person. So I always had the option, and I was the youngest of three. We were given the option of which sort of healthcare we wanted to use. And because I was the youngest, it started for me at a very young age. I always loved God, and I always prayed, and I went to Sunday school, and it was something that really was deep in me and I felt very aligned with. So my dad said to my mom, I've seen the efficacy of this system. Here you go. You can have the first aid baton. The first aid is prayer. The second aid was medicine. But the first aid always, he said, if they're, you can use prayer as your first aid, but if they're not healed in 3 days, I'm taking them to the doctor. It's like, well, that seemed fair. He said, if it's good enough for Jesus, it's good enough for them. It's like, okay. So I never went to the doctor because I was always healed. Like all the childhood stuff, the crazy things that we do as kids, getting all banged up and different things, I always had healings. So I never went to a doctor. So it was something that just became part of my life. And that choice in healthcare actually gave me a window into this amazing world of, I have a choice for everything. Like healthcare, sort of utilizing the medical, which is wonderful. I mean, my grandfather was a very well-known surgeon in Boston and taught at the Harvard Medical School. Dear, dear people who are wanting to serve and love with the techniques and the skills that they have in serving in medicine. But to know that there is another way kind of opened my eyes to that being true for everything, that we can always choose which premise are we operating from. Are we operating from the sort of the status quo, or are we operating from this place of intuition and divine truth rather than material evidence? And that's the choice. One choice can change your life. Choose what the premise of your life is. Choose who are you aligned with? Are you aligned with what the evidence is telling you and what the world is telling you? Or are you aligned with what your spiritual intuition is telling you? And let that be your guide, because when you look up, look in, look out, you're going to have the best life experience because it's going to align with your soul, with soul's calling, with God's calling on your life. And you are going to be led to that place where you are filling the puzzle piece that God designed you to be. It's like there's only one of you. There's only one of you in the whole universe. And if you're not filling all of the space of you, you're not fulfilling your purpose. So be who you were made to be. Choose to be who you were made to be. Choose to be you. That's the program that I do with everybody. Choose to be you. So
it's so amazing that you learned this lesson, for lack of a better word, when you were so young.
Yeah.
and that it made this powerful impact on your life.
Yeah. I mean, I am truly blessed and grateful that was my upbringing, that I was given this choice at a very young age. And I just happened to be very divinely inspired. And I had, visions as a kid and had all these experiences and lots of different healings. So it bolstered me to keep going in this direction. But anybody can practice this. Anybody. It doesn't matter what your religious tendency is or non-religious tendency. It's not a religious thing. It's a spiritual fact of your being. It's like we are all ideas in mind. There is no matter. And that, like, grasping that, who we are, if you listen to the Anita Morjani story, who had like stage 4 cancer and went out of her body and saw her body lying there and realized who she wasn't her body. She knew she was healed. She had that instantaneous recognition of her identity as being separate from this physical thing, went back into her body and told the doctor she was healed. And they said, no, honey, sorry, you're not. And she was. Like 3 weeks later, she was out of the hospital and she's touring the world. So, and she wasn't religious at all. So it's not a religious thing. It's a divine fact of your being. And when we tune into that, we can have the life that is the expression of that. And it's unlimited, which is very cool.
Very cool and very empowering.
Good.
Yeah.
Yay.
Very cool. So the only question that has come through in the chat is just to confirm the title of the book that you referenced. And there were a lot of people that gave the answer. I just want to make sure this is the right one. Science and Health with Key to the Scriptures by Mary Baker Eddy. Is that the book?
That is correct. That is the textbook. Yeah, that's the textbook of what's known as Christian Science or divine science or spiritual science. There are lots of different names. Most people know it as Christian Science. But there's also a religion, Christian Science, which is based in this. But this science, you can study the science without sort of going into the religious part of it, if you want to. I mean, there's nothing wrong with the religion at all. But it is a science, and it doesn't have to be. You don't have to like join a religion or anything. That's not at all what this is about.
Yeah, but you can still gain the knowledge from it.
You can still practice it and understand divine law. So it's a law textbook, essentially. It's a divine law textbook.
Divine law textbook. Love it. Thank you for that. And so, Lisa, you have a free gift for all of our attendees of this summit. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, the 3-step solution to every problem. It is the look up, look in, look out. And what this works is, so if you go to thischoicematters.co, go to that website, at the bottom of the homepage is a download for this free gift. So it's a workbook that will take you through how to design your daily practice based on look up, look in, look out. And, who would you have me be? What would you have me know? What would you have me see? What would you have me do? Where would you have me go? What would you have me say? And to whom? That thing that I said before. So it's this grid where you can design your daily practice and fulfill. It's a practical way to see what activities do you want in your daily practice that call up in you those places of your true being. And the worksheet will explain all of that. But it gets you into the look up, look in, look out process, which is essentially the 2 great commandments. If you look at it, look up, love God, look in, love yourself, look out, love your neighbor as yourself. So it's like it's like a different way of wording that, which I didn't realize until after it had come through. And I went, oh, well, that's just like the first 2 great commandments. Like, oh, okay. It's like, thanks, God.
Makes sense.
Yeah,
totally makes sense.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
Anyway,
And then
the other thing, I think the other thing that I would love to offer people is just a free trial to Morning Metaphys, the daily show. And it's there. That's also on the website, thischoicematters.co. And you can just go there and it says, sign up for I'm not sure which page it's on, but you'll find it if you just kind of noodle around in the website. Just sign up for the free trial and see if it aligns with you. See if it's something that would support you in your daily practice. So I would recommend sort of doing the workbook and kind of designing your own, and then see, does having inspiration that is based in this divine law, it's like a half an hour of inspiration of divine law, and see if it aligns with you and try it, check it out. And if it does, great. I'll see you in there. That would be awesome.
Perfect. And the trial that you mentioned, is that, or for the show, is that the gift that you have for our VIP attendees? Or is this something else?
That is the gift that I had for the VIP attendees. Yeah.
Okay, perfect. So for those of you that have already upgraded to VIP, that is included. It does look like there's an error with the opt-in for your guide. And I actually did just test it myself, and it said an error occurred on the form. So is there another way that we can
let me, as soon as I'm done here, I will go fix that and make sure it's working. That's
Okay.
interesting. I did not know that was not working. So let me make sure that's working, and so that you can just go there rather than trying to direct people somewhere else. Let me get that fixed. So
Perfect.
give me half an hour. I'll get it fixed and then go dive in.
Okay, so everybody copy and paste that URL, or just click through it, keep it open, and then maybe in an hour, refresh it, and then try to opt in again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. If I need to send a PDF out of that, I'm happy to do that. So just let me know.
Okay. All right. Perfect. Well, thank you so much. Lisa, your story is amazing. I love what you do and how you support the people in your community and just the world, right? Because what you're doing is helping to spread love, light, joy, divinity to the entire world, because there's always a ripple effect, right? When it starts with one, affect everybody. So thank you so much. Thank you to Monica for letting us know that there was that error, so she'll get that fixed, so everybody will get it. And we have 3 sessions coming up in this next hour. So we have in this track, we have Christy Spurka. I'm going to correct her name when I meet her on the other side of this. She's going to talk about the unexpected source of your pain. And then we also have Nika Stewart, Storytelling Secrets. And here we go, Christine Sismondo, 5 key components to a sustainable and soul-inspired business. So you'll see those links pop into this chat any minute now, so you know which Zoom room to go to next. Lisa, again, thank you so much. I really look forward to following you and learning more from you. And I'm so thrilled that I got to meet you this morning.
Thank you so much. It was such a pleasure to be here. Thank you.
Yeah. All right. Have a wonderful day. Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you for joining us for another amazing session of the Soul Calling Success Live Summit, where our mission is to guide you to follow your soul calling and create success on your own terms so your business can empower your dream life with greater freedom, fulfillment, and fun. For recordings of all sessions, plus an amazing VIP gift bundle full of courses and resources from our knowledgeable speakers, upgrade to VIP for only $147. If you have any questions or problems during the summit, please email our support team at support@erfsummit.com. Stay tuned. We have another fantastic speaker coming right up.